rainy. I can't even see across the other side of the island. So yeah, it's really nice to be broadcasting and have some lights on, and hopefully that will perk me up a little bit because I'm pretty groggy today, actually. So today's topic is one tip to release money regret. And this will work on any other type of regret too, but it is definitely something that is a bit of a practice. Like, you're not going to get an instant result if you have a really, really established worry habit in place. Okay. But it can give some relief if you do have the ability to be able to apply this to that worry habit actively today. So it really depends on how you apply this one tip to release money regret today, or any other type of regret. So we're going to dive right in into this topic. But first, I would like to remind you that we have launched our money mindsets pillar. And this is part of one of the areas that we talk about in money mindsets, cleaning up our money mindsets, cleaning up the way we think about money, things we believe about money, how we feel about money as a result of our thoughts. And we really want to make sure that we're really comfortable with what we believe about money and how we feel about money, because that's going to dictate everything that we do with money in our lives and everything that we think about ourselves in relations to money. So the way we think about money, the way we think about anything, but the way we think about money is really going to dictate whether we feel confident or kind of at the mercy of money. And that can be a really, really different life experience. If we feel like life is just happening at us and on us and to us, then that's quite stressful, and it can make us financially anxious. It can make us feel helpless and out of control, especially in times of really big uncertainty like we're going through nowadays. But if we can adjust our mindsets to be able to consider things from different points of view and choose thoughts that serve and support us instead of thoughts that worry and upset us, then we can change how we feel about a situation. Even so, that's what is that we're not going to be able to affect the world and change everything to make us feel better, but we can change the one thing that will make us feel better, which is our thoughts about the thing. Because we can have the same situation that happens to two people, and one of them feels very differently to the other one about that same situation. Even if it's like something we're really grateful for, if someone is used to worrying or nitpicking about an area, they will continue to nitpick and worry about that area, even if it's a good thing. So that's why it is really interesting and important to be able to notice our money mindsets and our mindsets generally, because they run our life. They will run everything that we believe, do, act, behave, because when we think something is true, and we generally tend to think that our thoughts are true, we'll behave accordingly. And those outcomes, are we happy with them, or do we want to shift or update them? So this topic today, one tip to release money or other regret, is about looking at the mindsets that we have and saying, okay, do I want to keep this regret? Does it serve me? Does it help me move forward? Does it benefit me in my life in some way? Now, the interesting thing about the neuropsychology and neuroscience of this is that our brain is going to say yes, because our brain will always choose to reinforce what we believe right now. Even if we don't want to believe it anymore, if we ask our brain something like, am I fat? Your brain will look for proof to prove that you are fat, even though technically you can't be fat. You can have fat, and you can have more fat than you're comfortable having, but you can't actually be fat. It's like you're not going to be hair or be fingernails, right? But it's just one of those things that we seem to think that this is something we can all-encompassingly insult ourselves with, even though fat keeps our bodies running and alive, and we need to ingest a lot of it in order to keep ourselves healthy. But sure, let's just dismiss all that and just try and say we are fat, right? We are hair, we are thumbnails, right? So let's just use that fat thing as an example. Our brain will look for all these reasons for why we can say that, yes, that is true, even though it doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, that it just, like, on so many levels doesn't make any sense at all. And the fact is that any of us who say that we are, or feel or think that we are or have, like, are fat, right? This term that I just totally don't agree with because it doesn't make any sense. And it's totally disempowering. So I don't agree with it on that level as well. Any of us who think that we are fat, we're just wrong. We have more fat than we are happy about having. And that's it. And that is really just personal preference. What amount of fat I'm happy with is very different to the next person's fat, and that guy's fat, and this other person's fat. So it's really just, it's up to us. It's like, what flavor ice cream do I like? You know, it's just personal preference entirely of what level of body fat that we want to have or are comfortable with having, right? Some people who are looking to enter bodybuilding competitions, they have a specific reason for wanting a very specific amount of body fat, right? And that is only because of the results that that amount of body fat will have on their body in terms of how you can see the muscles underneath the body fat, right? But it's less about the fat and it's more about the results. So when we're thinking about this in context of worrying, I know it's a bit of a roundabout, but when we're thinking about this in the context of worrying, we have to ask, what is the result of worrying? What is it that we're trying to achieve from worrying? If we have this regret, like, say I regret spending on my credit card so much money that I could have invested, I personally, like, beat myself up so hard. And I actually had a SCMP, South China Morning Post, newspaper article on financial wellness about this topic, because I was working very young and earning quite a lot. And I was financially doing really well. But I was also kind of bored and frittering away money on credit cards just aimlessly. And I realized that what I was doing was, even though I had money to pay the cards off, I was like avoiding them or feeling stress about them simply because I didn't know how to manage my finances. And so it was actually a completely different issue to the actual credit card thing, which really just has only a few steps. You have money in your bank account, and if you have the money to pay off the credit card on your bank account, you have the money, you transfer it to the credit card or put it on auto pay, and it's done. That is not a stressful process. That is a 3-step process. Where it becomes stressful is when we involve other thoughts, emotions, or considered situations around that. Obviously, it's stressful if we don't have the money, but in this particular example that I'm talking about, my stress was all in my head. It was all about my thoughts around money, and that I don't know how to manage things, and I don't know how to manage things around money or with money or blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not on top of it. So I've cleaned all that up with my 5 pillars of financial stability, which I've created into Money Mind now, after I realized that it was quite useful and helpful to apply. The 5-pillar framework is money mindsets, savings, budgeting, investing, wills, and legacy. And I actually created this 5-pillar framework to apply to myself and my own family after we went into founding a startup. And I realized that all my insecurities suddenly came to the surface. And so I created this to help myself say, okay, I got to clean this up. I got to clean up my mindsets around this area and see where I'm lacking and where I'm feeling insecure. So I went through and I realized that these are the most important foundational areas for me to be able to say, okay, as a checklist, do I have my money mindset sorted out? Am I happy with them? Do I have my savings sorted out? Am I happy with them? Do I have my budgeting sorted out? Am I happy with that? Do I have my investing sorted out? Am I happy with that? Do I have my wills and legacy sorted out? Am I happy with that? Now, this doesn't need to be completed. It doesn't need to be like, I have all the savings that I could ever need or all the investments I could ever want. But it's just, am I happy with the habits that I currently have in this area? So am I happy with the mindsets I currently have about money? That's a constant area for improving for me. I'm constantly listening to podcasts by Natalie Bacon, who does a lot of mindset coaching, life coaching for moms and for online business owners. And I listen to that every single morning so that when I wake up, the first thing that I'm hearing in my day and in my life is encouraging life coaching. So that's actually one of the many ways that I reset my brain and stage it to actually be focused in a certain direction that serves me. Because a lot of us wake up in the morning and our thoughts are just garbage. I don't know why, but we're like, oh, I'm going to worry about this. Or we'll think about something completely random. Like I had this random classical music song in my head this morning. It's like, I think it's the March of the Knights. And it's the song that we play or like to play when I'm feeling, or when either of us are feeling really, really grumpy. So we've decided to embody our emotions with certain songs or things so that we can communicate them and let the other party in our relationship know that we have grump for some reason. Don't need to know the reason. Whatever reason, I'm feeling a bit grumpy today. So this song, The March of the Knights, will be the song that is the theme of like, I'm really grumpy. And we make this like kind of grumpy shape when we're walking around the house sometimes, just to let the other one know we've still got the grump. So we try and make fun of this, situation. So in the morning, we'll think garbage. I had that random song in my head. We'll think whatever. And I instead reset when I get out of bed with life coaching to drive me in the direction that I want to be thinking. So previously with my mindsets, they were such a mess. And that was the first area I had to clean up, which is why this topic, one tip to release money regret, is really mindset focused and useful for any area of our life, because it is how we think about it and how we engage in a thought habit pattern that either serves us or doesn't. Now we can apply this to any of these other areas. Do I regret not investing more? Do I regret not saving more? Blah, 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 blah. Regretting something doesn't change it. Regretting something doesn't change it. Regretting something doesn't make it better. Regretting something doesn't really support you. And regretting something doesn't change the outcome of what's happening in the future. It will only drag it down in a negative way if we keep acting as if that regret has weight and meaning in our life. So if we have regret in our life about an area, right, say of these 5 pillars of money mindset, savings, investing, savings, budgeting, investing, wills, and legacy, I could have like a full combo, which I personally did have. Okay. So it was like, oh, I wish I had been saving more and I should have budgeted or known how to budget properly and invested more or just differently. So the mindsets, I knew I needed to clean up. The wills and legacy I've had done since I was 21, because as soon as I discovered that probate leaves your family like having to fight the government to prove that they can take care of your stuff, I was like, I don't want my family going through that. I'm getting a will immediately. So I immediately got a will. So savings regret, and then budgeting regret, and then investing regret, we can combo these and ruminate and play them together. Like if I had made different financial decisions, I'd be in a different situation now. That's not helpful. The lessons that we have learned from going through what we've gone through have brought us to where we are today. And it is only helpful to think these are serving me somehow. 1111. It's only helpful for us to think the lessons that I learn from these experiences that I have previously regretted are actually perhaps lessons that I can keep in mind for future, for when I need them, if I need them. But if I need them, I'll trust they will come up on their own. They don't need to be carried around like luggage that I am hefting around all the time. And what's interesting about our brain is when there is a thought pattern that we have really developed neural pathways for, like a hiking path in the forest, we always go path. So easy starts to feel that stress indicator, and you'll be like a bullet train on that path. Like, you know it, you're comfortable on it, even if it doesn't serve you, even if you don't want it anymore, the path is still there. And the fact is that the only way we can change the path is by really making an effort, choosing to, and stepping aside to a different path and starting to create a new path. Now, this is hard to do, but very, very possible. And with time, a surprisingly small amount of time, if you do it persistently, you will start to find that you can forge a new path that is near or associated with that path that supports you instead and doesn't drag you down and doesn't hinder you or make you feel bad. So if we have this thought, right? So the one tip to release money regret or other regret today is to ask, what does this thought serve me? Like, is it serving me at all? Is it supporting me at all? And ask, do I want to keep this thought? A lot of us will say no, but the fact is that sometimes we actually want to hold on to regret for reasons of self-flagellation, or feeling like that is part of the processing, or feeling like we have to for some reason. We can ask ourselves to just reassess that right now. Maybe we felt like that at the time. Is it still relevant now? Or have we already processed that regret? Have we already felt bad? Have we already done whatever we need to do around that area? And now we can just let it go. Stop beating ourselves up, stop feeling bad, and just move forward. Is it time to just put down that luggage that we've been carrying to kind of punish ourselves and say, okay, if I have had this journey of having to like punish myself mentally for whatever, or beat myself up about, or remember this to keep me safe, is that still relevant now? Is it actually causing the outcome of keeping me safe, of making me better, of making me do things in a way that is, really beneficial to me or anyone else? So that is something for us to ask. And the way that we will change it, if we answer that we don't want to keep these thoughts anymore and they're not serving us anymore, is to spot the thought when it arises. So as soon as you feel that thought coming up, or as soon as you notice it, and that's the key. You need to be in a mindset where you're looking or just scanning, right? You're like at a coffee shop watching people go by, and then when that person that you're waiting for, you're like, oh, hey, you watch for that thought to show up. And it will show up because if you're worrying about this a lot, then it is going to show up at some point. So notice when it does show up and when it starts getting into your headspace, and implement what I call a hero self, which is just a strong, supportive, like best character person that says, no, excuse me. It's kind of like a door guard or like a security guard at a door of a nightclub or something. Be like, nope, excuse me, you can't come in. You don't have access here. Like, is what you have to say helpful or supportive? And the grumbly thought will be like, well, no, not really. Then you're not allowed in. And that's it. Like, you have to stop the thought at the door. Otherwise, it would get into that nightclub and mess everyone up. It will be making a mess. It will be throwing drinks everywhere. It will be like chucking stuff at the wall. Like, it is not a welcome guest anymore. So when it shows up, this thought that you are used to thinking, it might just be you're doing other stuff and you get a bit tired and it creeps in. When that thought creeps in, notice it and bring up the door guard, the hero self. So this could be anyone. This could be Beyonce that you bring up in your mind, being like, nope, you're not allowed in. Excuse me. That's not right. It could be someone very, very strong that you admire in your own life. It could be a sister. It could be a mother. It could be your ideal self who is kind and giving and gentle. It could be your child self who is like, no, you don't get to be my friend. Whoever it is that is most comforting to you to have in your mind, stepping up and saying, wait, I'm with her now. You see it when children find their new friend in play school and they will like pair off and then suddenly they'll do everything together. You now implement. That's the one step you can do to release your money regret today, is you now implement this friend who is there for you. And when that nasty friend comes back, this friend is like, oh no, you treat this friend badly. You don't help them get the outcomes they want. You don't even treat them nice. Why are you here? Please, if you don't have anything to add to our friendship, if you don't have anything to like bring to the table, you're not invited. We don't want to hear what you have to say. And implementing that every time the thought tries to come in is the way to start first noticing our thoughts and that we have control of them, and then stopping them from invading and continuing on this worry, regret, thought habit track. Now, we may have more stuff to unpack about why we're worrying, about whether we feel like we need to beat ourselves up, because we don't. You don't. You don't need to beat yourself up. You don't need to make yourself feel bad for any reason. If you do something that you feel bad about and you regret doing, behave in a way that you admire. Take those actions. Notice it as a lesson and behave admirably. Decide to do that rather than carrying around regretting what you have done and not affecting any positive change in your life, actually affecting negative change in your life because you're dragging yourself down and possibly making other decisions that are affected by this regret, by this being there, weighing you down in your life. How is that regret serving you? How is that regret making that version of you like a better person as a result of it? If it's just there to make you feel bad and like self-flagellate, then that's a choice. That is not something we have to do. It may be something we believe we need to do because other people are like, you should feel bad about this particular area, or you just decide, I feel really bad about this area. But if it doesn't serve you anymore, if you can't say, I swear never to do that again, and I will definitely, know in yourself that you have made a decision because of something you regret, like see what action you can take that will serve you better and mean that that regret area was a lesson that has a value rather than something that just punishes whatever the situation was and then continues to punish you unhelpfully. That doesn't serve anyone. That doesn't make the world better. That doesn't make you better. It doesn't make the people in your life better. And if it's something that you regret, you'll also feel insecure or uncomfortable about this area. And so you'll kind of like shrink away from other things that might risk poking it. It is often very helpful to let go of regret or worry once we realize that, I think it was in a Van Wilder movie, it was said, worry is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So if we consider worry as not getting us anywhere and just something that we're indulging in, whether or not we realize that we're indulging in it, that's really up to us whether we want to keep it or not. Now, if you're watching this video with the title, One Tip to Release Money Regret Today, then it's likely that you don't want to hold on to it anymore. And you might not have heard about the principles of rumination, which is actually from the word for ruminants, cows who regurgitate their food up again and then eat it, which is what a lot of us will do with worry or thoughts that we ruminate about. We will have a thought, we will have gone through the experience already, right? Whatever the experience is, we will then regurgitate the thought, think of it again, and then chew it up and eat it again and keep doing that. Because the thing you're worrying about right now is either happened or is in the future, but is not happening right now, really. It might be in processing about an outcome in the future. It might be about something that has happened in the past that we don't want to happen again. But right now, in this very moment, does worrying serve us? And is it actually happening right now? Even if there's something really stressful, like my husband and I were going through something very stressful regarding some very complicated business dealing over the past 2 weeks. And we decided And he very admirably decided that worrying about it was not going to serve any greater outcome. And the reason that this makes sense from a neuroscience point of view, as studied in a Northwestern study that was really interesting, is you are 20% less efficient when you are worrying about something, because you will be thinking about whatever it is, your brain will get stressed, and the stress causes you to make slightly different decisions. So you're not thinking clearly and straight into your goals. You're thinking slightly like sideways of what you would normally be thinking, and you make different decisions. So you'll make decisions that are like slightly sideways to yourself, right? From the version of yourself that you prefer to be making decisions from, the best mom, the friend, the great, person, whatever it is. You would make decisions from a grumpy, stressed out you. And that's not the person we want to be making decisions from. So with the study showing that we're 20% more stressed, we were 20%, that when we are under stress, our brain is 20% less efficient. And if we want to be more efficient in this particular study, getting assistance from someone, getting guidance, getting help in this area is the way to reduce that 20% stress in this particular area. So it's up to you whether you ask for support from a friend, whether you follow more of these social media videos where we talk about this type of stuff, so you're just exposed to it, whether you do any of our free samplers or our money mindset pillar, which is now available at moneymind.global. It's really up to you. If you go over to moneymind.global, you can see, so that's www.moneymind.global, you can see we have free samplers to try in the money mindset space. We have free samplers in all of these pillars: money mindsets, savings, budgeting, investing, wills, and legacy. And you can try the free samplers in all of them just to see where you're at in all of these areas, and just make sure you're comfortable with where you are in these foundations. So remember, today, before I sign off, I just want to remind you that one tip to release money regret today is to make sure that you notice the thoughts and ask whether they are serving you or not, whether you want them in your life, whether they change the outcome in your life in a positive way. And if you don't want to keep these thoughts, or you want relief from them today, then the way to stop them in their tracks is to notice or pay attention to when they come up, and you have your new best friend, your hero self, who's going to say, "Excuse me, if you don't have anything positive or helpful to say, then you're not welcome." This hero self will stop that person, and that person will try, that negative, worrying thought process will say, "Oh, but I need to blah, 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 blah." And this person can just be on a repeat loop. You don't need to have new answers. It can simply be the one phrase: "If you don't have anything supportive or helpful to say, you're not welcome." You can also rephrase this in a slightly different way. You can use a question form. So you can say, "Is what you have to say useful?" Well, no. "Is what you have to say helpful?" No. "Is what you have to say supportive?" No. Then you are not welcome until what you have to say is useful, helpful, or supportive. Because we're just not welcoming friends who are not those things into this group. And you have the power today, right now, to be able to make that call and choose that group in your mind and say, "I'm just going to say no to any thoughts that are not useful, helpful, or supportive, because I don't want to anymore." Simple as that. I do not want to. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. And it doesn't lead to any outcome that is good for me. Why would I do that? I can be a better person, friend, parent, family member, being a best version of myself, rather than being a version of myself that is weighted down by something I don't need to be carrying anymore. So this is your message for today. There's one tip to release your money regret, is to have your friendship self stop the thought and say, if it is not useful, helpful, or supportive, no. And in the beginning, that thought is going to try and insist and insist and insist on getting in. And you just keep repeating that few phrase or whatever phrase works for you that is kind but firm. And eventually, this will start to quiet down. Now, for me, I actually like to do a separate part to this as well, where the person comes up and starts being rah, 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 and I say, look, why don't you go and sit on that chair over there, like a little chair somewhere, quietly, until you do have something supportive and useful to say. We're not rejecting you completely. We understand that you have your reasons for wanting to worry, for wanting to say these things. It's just that we love you as you, but we don't need these polluting words that you bring. If you have something to say that is useful, helpful, or supportive, come back and let us know. Oh, hey, a situation has arisen that is similar to the one that we had that regret about. Maybe we could behave differently this time. That's useful. That is helpful. That is supportive. Yes, you can tell us that. Just, oh, remember that time that you did? I do remember, and I don't need to go down that path again because I have already been there. I don't need to go there again. Thank you. We are having new experiences now. When you have something supportive, helpful, or useful to say, you can come back and tell us. Until then, we are not available to listen to you. We're not available to listen to worry thoughts, regret thoughts, thoughts that don't lead to a positive outcome for us. So that is my broadcast today. Thank you everyone for joining, for watching, for following, liking, or sharing on one tip to release money regrets or other types of regrets today. I hope it's been helpful for you. And if you have any thoughts or comments about what you do or what you like to do in this area, just leave a note and let us know. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. I'm Raven, founder of financial literacy social enterprise Money Mind, and I hope that you have a good day ahead. I'll be away on Monday, so I will see you guys again on Tuesday.